Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So Chariton of TYT has found himself into a bit of trouble. And again, trouble not necessarily because he did anything wrong. Let's just make that clear. Last night on Huffington Post, a woman posted an article. The article has alleged that Jordan Chariton raped her. That was the first point. Groped her. And all around being a jerk. It also alleged, though, that there were multiple women who were going to come out to back up this particular case, or back up the story, meaning there were other people who Jordan supposedly assaulted. Huffington Post has now taken down that article. They've taken down that article. Now, Jordan Chariton responded to this. I'm going to give his response. One of my subscribers sent me a link to an article that someone that worked with the company put out. It's a hit piece. There's no other way to call it. It's a hit piece. It's like, even if the stuff in it is true, as you're reading through it, some of it is like, I'll read some of it, but some of it makes me slightly dislike the author, if I'm being honest, just because of the way it was written. The context to which the author sees the world is somewhat different than the context I see it, so it's slightly aggravating to read it in that way. I will read it. And it'll be clear what I'm saying. I've explained the allegations. I copied the article before the article was deleted off of Huffington Post, so that's good on me. Let me give you his response. So Jordan wrote an article in the Medium called "Explaining My Absence." For my TYT viewers who watch me for years, you've heard me say, I gotta keep it real, thousands of times. In that spirit, I've chosen to engage in radical transparency about a disturbing situation that's been brewing in my life for months. This is an important time for women and male victims of sexual violation, and I commend the immense courage it takes for them to come forward. As I relate the following, it is with mindfulness that our culture needs to overcome toxic masculinity and move aggressively towards equality and nonviolence. There's some aspects of the left that I dislike. Creating terms like toxic masculinity is one of them. And look, this is my own context, man. You say, oh, you're being a guy. Fair enough. I am a guy. I also want to emphasize that one incident should not change the fact that the victims deserve our help and our benefit. He's saying one incident. He's trying to make this point that, look, this woman is accusing me of something that hasn't taken place. This one time that this person lied on me does not necessarily repudiate the other women who are coming forward. That's essentially what's taking place. It's just weird because he's not necessarily detailing the sexual assault first. He's saying one incident. Well, I already know about the sexual assault thing. It's an implication. He's not explicit in the way that he's saying it. But yes, one incident that does not necessarily take away from the other women who've come out. It came to my attention in June that a consensual sexual encounter I had was being portrayed in gossip as something else. Out of respect for the woman at the center of the story, whom I will not name without her consent, I chose not to escalate the situation and foolishly stayed silent in hopes it would go away. If we are learning anything in the current landscape, it is that silence serves no one. I have tremendous respect for women, I'm glad you do, and believe completely that consent must be affirmative and ongoing throughout sexual intimacy. We are responsible for... Yeah, I get it, dude. I get it. She said I raped her. It was consensual sex. That's the bottom line. And he goes into details. If this woman chooses to come forward publicly, I would defend myself and provide evidence of my innocence. I hope it doesn't come to that. I chose to come out proactively because the truth is on my side and I have nothing to hide. Having to reply to the details of this night is embarrassing. I am not proud of what took place, and I've learned a lot from this. I hope viewers and progressive figures who care about the facts and don't simply latch onto the gossip and rumors spread by people who haven't sought and confirmed the facts will wait until an investigation concludes and my innocence is proven. If anybody follows and believes in me, you know I care about truth first and foremost. Plainly put, I am telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. Alright. I have to be honest. I'm curious about the embarrassing details that he mentioned. Yeah, let's hear the embarrassing details. I'm a guy. During my encounter with the woman in question, I followed this principle completely. The woman in question and another woman in our group of friends began kissing and touching each other in a jacuzzi. Oh. So I left them and I went to bed. Oh, he's saying they began kissing. I thought, my bad, I misread. I thought he was saying a threesome. Sometime after that, the man in the group woke me up to show that said woman had come to my bed with other woman. What? Man in the group woke me up to show. Okay, I think this is a misspelling or he's missing words. I think he's trying to say woke me up to show me, or woke me up and said that a woman had come to my bed with another woman. It's poorly written. They were having oral sex with each other, and I was asked to participate. Lucky you. I had written statements from the other two people in the room confirming that they heard me ask the woman receiving oral sex if she was okay, and if I could approach her intimately. And more importantly, heard her consent. During that night, we had a few beers, but no one was drunk. Is that really the way that typically goes down? You're having oral sex. Do I have your consent to move forward intimately? Yes, you do have my consent. Come on, dude. That's not typically how that goes down. You guys were together. You were hanging out. You guys were drinking. Somebody got a little randy. A few people might have gotten a little randy. She either consented or she didn't. She pushed her away. I mean, up to this point, this just sounds like a bunch of people having fun. That's all. Eventually, we paired off, and I was directly intimate with this woman. During foreplay, she made a sound that made me question whether she was happy with what was going on. I stopped immediately, and she confessed that she had grown distressed about the impact of our intimacy on her marriage. Oh, wow. I immediately ended the intimacy and requested we sit up and talk. We did not have sexual penetration. We spent the next few hours talking, first in a hotel room and moving into the lobby where we remained, talking and engaging in non-sexual affection into the morning. Non-sexual affection. She was sitting on my lap with her arm wrapped around me for much of this period as we talked between 5 and 6 a.m. We both went to sleep, and I woke up soon after to get ready to head to the airport to fly home. That just the wording of this, the phrasing of this sounds like a political document. It just sounds funny. Non-intimate affection. You go with that non-intimate affection. Long story short, they were messing around. He's saying this was consensual sex. She's balking. Now, and by the way, he's saying she's lying. I mean, implicit. And this is the thing with these type of allegations. It's like you're dancing on the head of a pin. I've used that analogy before, but it's almost like you have to give a certain amount of credibility to the person who's giving the story because you don't want to say she's lying. And you have to give a certain amount of credibility to the guy because you don't want to necessarily just say he's guilty. It's like both people end up getting tarred. All right. This is Truth Against the Machine. This was the organization that Jordan worked for. And, well, I think Jordan owned, but the organization that these people were working for. I can't see this. Oh, man. Okay, if I mess this up, the printing was real small. First, the only victim that has come forward with accusations. Oh, there's only one victim that's come forward with accusations, not multiple. The author who wrote that did not do what journalism 101 demands. He didn't reach out to Jordan to ask his side or ask for proof that Jordan has. He also wrote a headline describing multiple accusers claiming sexual assault when there was only one in the story. He also alleged separate charge against another individual without ever reaching out to that person for their side. Again, journalism 101. He's just making the point of, look, when they put that story out, at no point did they reach out to Jordan to get his side of the story. They immediately just took her side of the story and ran with it. Not just ran with it, added people to the story. Hey, there's multiple accusers. There's multiple accusers. Well, right now it's just one. Right now it's just one. I cannot confirm Jordan's plans, but I do know a lawsuit against the author and Huffington Post is being weighed. Those who formerly worked at Truth Against the Machine, who are pushing the narrative that this incident did happen, have not seen the proof in dozens of screenshots of conversations, eyewitness accounts, and more. Over the weekend, while other Truth Against the Machine reporters were present, one of them had to be fired because she caused damage to the apartment by throwing glass. While I was recently with Jordan this past weekend, I looked at all of his evidence. The proof was overwhelming that he is telling the truth. I do not take this topic lightly, and my support is such because I have seen the overwhelming proof. Overwhelming proof. Overwhelming. Because of the proof is currently being investigated by third party and legal evidence, I cannot disclose the proof. Trust me, it's proof. It's awesome. It's overwhelming proof. How convenient, I know. But when the investigation is done, Jordan will release the proof he deems fit. Yeah, this is supposed to be investigated. I think TYT is even investigating it at this point. So I'm going to put this document and the other document, meaning Jordan's reply, in the bottom. But there's something else. This document alluded to a person throwing glass. Well, that person who's throwing glass, oh, she has a knife. She has a knife in her hand. And she's taking shots at Jordan and TYT. Now, this article that this woman wrote is a hit piece. It is a brutal hit piece. And I'm not going to go too far into this one because it goes in somewhat in the weeds. And like I said, it's a hit piece. She is throwing elbows. But basically, she's saying stuff like white savior complex, sexual misogyny, rape culture, and she's tying Jordan to all of the stuff that's, I gotta be honest, after reading this, even in her own words, somewhat unfair. It's somewhat unfair. I don't want this to go too long, so I'm not going to go too far into this, but she's essentially saying Jordan is sexist. He brings up sexist jokes all the time. He's always hitting on women. He's always describing women's attractiveness features and those type of things. And she says she got annoyed at it, and she told him to cut it out. And he said, "You're trying to police my speech, man," something to that effect. Now, it's true. She is trying to police his speech. That's exactly what she's trying to do. I'm not necessarily saying that his speech is not uncomfortable, so fair enough. I don't think she's crazy for saying, "Hey, can you not do that around me?" Fair enough. But let's be specific. She is trying to police his speech on this. And I got to be honest. This sounds like more of a work gig than just a hanging out. Because she's not hanging out with Jordan just to be hanging out with Jordan. This is to do with a job, a journalism thing. Yeah, she's right on this. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the SJW stuff, like the over-the-top stuff like that. But this is like being at work and your boss continuously talking about sex or being lewd in the way that they're talking about stuff. So she has a point on this. She does have a point on this. Using words like toxic masculinity. Guys are guys, man. I don't want the situation of I understand that guys can behave sometime in ways that are obnoxious. Fair enough. I also agree that there are degrees to this. Fair enough. I also agree that Jordan was technically at work. And because this is kind of their work situation, that this is also him speaking this way at work. Fair enough. And mind you, that's even taken with a grain of salt that she's telling the truth. It sounds like somebody is pissed off. Like I said, this sounds like a hit piece. I'm going to put this here. I'm not going to read through it. But some of the stuff like Jordan is a fraud. It's like, come on. It's like, come on. Is it possible that both things are true? Like, is it possible that the person does have this self-interest in themselves, or they they do have somewhat of an ego. Is that possible? And they also care about the things that they're going after. I mean, it's possible both of those things are true. There is one part that I thought was fucking hilarious. This part. Jordan and Ty were directly in front of me in the bathroom discussing TYT politics as Ty was trimming Jordan's beard, when suddenly they shut the door and proclaimed that they were talking on private matters. My interest was piqued, but I tried to ignore the conversation. My son had an ear infection, and so his ears were concerning me at the moment. That's when I heard Jordan tell Ty, "What Nomika is doing is unethical. You can't write speeches for politicians, then report on it." Yeah, I agree. But I've said that beforehand. I've said that with the whole Justice Democrats thing. Yeah, I've said that before. Pick your pony. You can't do both. And there was another one where she's talking about Jordan. Right here. Chariton has no... Okay, the truth about TYT politics. Chariton has no work ethic, yet complains constantly about his relationship with TYT, saying Jank is always jacking off to himself. I'm only saying that because I think it's funny. Is it possible people behind the scenes have certain feelings about other people? Of course. They're human beings. They're human beings. Human beings tend to talk that way, and human beings tend to think that way. When you're interacting with the public, you're going to have a public face. That's your job. But behind the scenes, yeah. I will put all three. Make your own judgments. Ultimately, I would say be ambiguous until more information comes out. Right now, it's he said, she said. And people are choosing their sides. So, alright guys. If you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the Patreon. By the way, Jordan's story is possible, by the way, and I gotta be honest, I somewhat lean more towards that side of the story. This has nothing to do with him being a guy or anything else. It's alcohol is involved, it's a married woman, etc., etc., etc. Is it possible that what she said took place? Yes. Is it possible that Jordan is a bit of a pig? Yes, I can believe it. I can totally believe that. That part of the story is like, yes, I can see that. Fair enough. I don't know that as a fact, but I can see it. I can see it. But it's a far cry from being a pig to rape. That's a big fucking difference. That is a massive difference. An investigation is taking place. See what happens. An investigation. Let's see what happens. He is being pretty strong, though, that he had nothing to do with it. This is not the case, or this is not the situation as it presents itself. This other hit piece, this is the person who apparently broke the glass. So she seems mad about it, and she wanted to get her article out on Medium. This article is insanely long, and she take knife after knife after knife. Some of the stuff is like, okay, fair enough, I can see. Some of the stuff is like, oh man, it seems slightly petty. It seems slightly petty. It seems like somebody is pissed off and wanted to strike back. That's what it comes across as. But make your own choices. I'll leave it at that. I think this one probably went long. Yes, this one went extremely long. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the Patreon. Thanks guys.